24 is getting off to a rough start for BART. One of its trains derailed and caught fire this morning. It happened near the Orinda station, and here's a look at the aftermath. Almost 9 hours after the incident, BART is just now starting to remove the damaged train with a crane. A viewer sent us this video taken just after the derailment. It shows smoke pouring out of that car there. BART says 9 people were taken to the hospital with injuries, but this all could have been much worse had it been a normal commute day. Bus bridges have been set up, but right now there is no train service between the Walnut Creek and Rock Ridge stations. BART is trying to make repairs before people return back to work tomorrow. Our Kelsi Thorud is following the operation to get the damaged train off the tracks, which could impact drivers as well. Kelsi, what's up over there?
Hey, Ann, yeah, we're out here at the scene just off the side of Highway 24. You can actually see the derailed train here behind me. It appears that they're currently lifting that derailed train, trying to get it back onto the tracks right now with that crane. Now, Caltrain's crews have shut down the 2 left lanes of eastbound Highway 24. They're now have that crane up and lifting the train car back onto the track, where they will then move the train from the scene. Now, this is an undertaking that officials say will take around 6 hours from start to finish. Train service, as you said, in this area has been shut down since the train derailed at around 9 this morning. Our John Ramos was out here earlier today, where he spoke with several passengers who were actually on the train at the time of the crash.
Man, it just felt like a crash and smoke everywhere in the car, and I thought we were going to blow up. I thought we were going to die.
The train only got about 1,000 yards from the station when the driver was told by the command center that a piece of track switching equipment called an interlocking wasn't working, and instructed her to switch the track manually.
The train operator did offboard the train and crank the interlocking and then reboarded the train.
Then the train started moving, and just heard loud popping, and just saw orange sparks and then flames.
Enrique Gonzalez was one of the passengers on the second car. After he got off it, he took this video of the train on fire.
I was sitting in the window seat right above where the actual fire started, and it took me a while to realize exactly what was going on. I heard all the popping, and I seen the flame just shoot up right, the window where I was sitting.
The train began filling with smoke, and passenger Leah Burrell explained what happened next.
And then you see the orange and the red and the orange and the smoke, and it didn't stop. And then we all got up and ran to go to the next cart to at least run. And so, you know how a car smokes and then explodes? We didn't want that to happen, so we're like, we just got to run for our lives, literally.
People start coming in, they're like, there's a fire, the train's on fire. Nobody said anything, there was no announcement, and then they opened the doors and we had to jump out onto the tracks on the side. It was scary.
The passengers all had to walk back along the rocky track to the station, and Orinda Fire reports that 9 people were taken to the hospital for minor injuries. The BART spokesman said a crane was en route to lift the 2 damaged cars back onto the track, and 2 eastbound lanes of Highway 24 would be closed for about 6 hours for that operation. Meanwhile, Leah and her friends hope they are set for the rest of the year.
It better be the biggest thing that happens in 2024. I don't want no more smoke or booms.
Now, back out here on the scene, you can see that the work with this crane is well underway. The crane arrived here on scene right around 4:30, so there is still a long way to go until the train will be moved and the scene cleared. Now, BART officials say crews have already separated the train into 3 sections: the 6-car section at the back of the train that never derailed, the train car that derailed, and finally the lead car. They say once the crane is able to lift the derailed car back onto the tracks, crews will tow the train to Concord Yard and begin inspecting the tracks for damage.
The main thing is to get that train out of the way and to be able to assess the damage to the track, if there is any, and to make sure that everything's safe to go again.
Now, officials say they still do not have a firm timeline on when train service will resume for this section. They say it really depends on what type of damage the derailment and fire did to the tracks. They say they hope to be able to have full operations back up and running by sometime tomorrow, but encourage anyone hoping to ride BART in this area to check their website for updates before heading out tomorrow.
So our advice for people who are expecting to use BART tomorrow morning is to get up a little bit earlier, check the websites, see what the current situation is. Obviously, we'll be working throughout the night to update it and keep it updated. But I can't tell you at 4:30, 5 o'clock tonight whether we're going to have service or not definitively. But we will return to service as soon as it's safe to do so.
Now, officials say they don't believe the two left lanes of Highway 24 will be closed as long as the train service. They are expecting to reopen these lanes once this crane gets this train back on the tracks and then is able to get out of here. So that's good for drivers coming through this area. If you are someone, though, that is hoping to take BART, as Jim Allison said there's still no specific deadline as to when that service will reopen, but they are keeping that bus bridge from Walnut Creek to Rockridge open for people who are trying to commute tomorrow, even if the train is not running at that time. And
but that can be a little sticky, as we know. And when people hear about trouble on BART, a lot of them decide to drive instead. So even drivers could end up with some adverse effects for all of this. We'll keep our eye on it. Thanks for that, Kelsi. And you might remember another BART train derailed back in 2022. That was on that same yellow line between the Pleasant Hill and Concord stations. BART had blamed that on a heat wave that caused a curve in the tracks.